evening to you and welcome to QI. This is the show where everything is as bright as a new pin and we avoid clichés like the plague. You won't hear me saying that our four players are champing at the bit and raring to go, not in a month of Sundays. So without further ado, let's meet and greet Bill Bailey, Sean Locke, Joe Brand and Alan Davis. Now, tonight, although this is Series B, we're talking about colour, so all of our buzzers are blue. Bill goes... Sean goes... Joe goes... And Alan goes...
Genuine recording.
You said that without moving your legs. Right, now, sweeties. You all have sweeties, and to help you get into a primary mood, a range of bright colours. And here's a nice Mediterranean one to get you started with. What colour was the sky in ancient Greece?
Oh, yeah.
Blue, if that pictures anything.
Oh, no, well, it wasn't. I'm afraid blue. I should have I should have told you that it was ancient Greece, and I did.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. And they didn't take photographs in ancient Greece, so that might have been a hint that the photograph was of modern Greece.
Oh, well, I know, but
yes,
you know.
no, you fell into our beautifully...
Could be a very good carving.
It could be, I suppose.
Wouldn't it perhaps have been darker blue, because it's sort of faded a little over the time?
Yes, it might have done.
What we call blue, they call something else.
Well, no, the ancient Greeks didn't call anything blue.
They didn't look up, ever.
No, they didn't call anything blue.
They didn't have colours.
No word for blue.
They had colours, but they didn't have a word for blue.
No word for blue? What do they say? The sky.
Bronze.
Bronze?
Yes, they called it the bronze. Homer called it bronze
But
coloured.
no time for these Greeks.
And yet without them you wouldn't be here.
Oh, that's so rubbish. You say this every week.
Because it's true, because without
we wouldn't
logic,
be here.
mathematics, harmony, democracy, justice...
That's got nothing to do with the people shagging for decades ending up with me.
There wouldn't be television. Without television, you are nothing. I know that better than anyone.
There wouldn't be a word for television. A Greek word.
Well, no, funny enough, television is a word that offends a lot of classicists because it's both Latin and Greek. It's a hybrid word.
They're so touchy, aren't they?
They are. They call it a chimeric word because the tele is Greek and the vision is Latin.
But if there was no Greek, like the Saxon word for television be something like
well, it would be
proxy
like,
light.
We know what they are because the German, it would be Fernsehen.
Oh, yeah. Wake up, Sean.
They've got blue in their flag. What do they call their flag?
That's
Bronze
the modern
and white?
Greeks.
Well, the modern Greeks.
It's not the blue. It's not the blue didn't exist. They didn't have a word for it.
I would be here without the ancient Greeks.
Is that...
I wonder how many Welsh words there are for colours, Alan Davis, when we start on this. I wonder.
Unfortunately, because of you English people destroying our natural culture and heritage, I don't know our own language.
Oh, yes. I must apologise.
Cruel imperial invader. My great-grandfather was forced to flee Cardiff and set up a restaurant in the East End.
Do you want to know something very interesting, Alan? There is no Welsh word for blue.
Oh, well, I'm sure there is.
There is.
There is
you
no
just can't
Welsh
say it.
There isn't.
So when did they hand over? When did ancient Greece hand over to modern Greece? And
Well,
sort of say, there you go. What?
First thing we're going to do, the sky is
Blue, all right, there you go.
Start off.
It's a very interesting question. They used to believe, some Darwinians believed, that the Greeks genuinely, that's to say Greeks as ancient as Homer, who was a very, very long time before even Sophocles and Socrates, the ancient Greeks that you and I talk about every day. They actually believed that they hadn't developed a colour sense in the eye, but it's now essentially perceived that they didn't really find any use for calling things by different colours so much as they did as function. Yes, darling. Am I boring you?
Losing the will to live.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Can you just hit that, your buzzer there, Al?
Eh?
Just that... That's just an excerpt from a Bronze movie, I think.
Very good. Very, very good. Now, in a similar spirit, Homer regarded wine, the sea and sheep as all being the same colour, which is red. To us, colours are so obvious that this seems peculiar, but colour is just one way of describing tones. Now, look at this picture. What does a rainbow look like from the other side?
You can't see it.
Slightly different.
Yeah.
Just slightly different. It's nice. But it's not
quite the same.
It's a bit...
Sort of look at it, you go...
I'd rather be on the proper side, but it's all right. I wouldn't bother going round to look at it. No. I just go, no, it's better this side.
It's a long journey.
You can't really concentrate on it because there are people going, come on, look at it from this side.
But your first answer was correct, for which you will get
You
some
can only
points.
see it from
the side that you're on.
Yeah. Otherwise, you wouldn't know it's there.
No, there is a very particular way you
It's
can
to
only
do
see
with where
one.
the rain is and where you are.
Or where the sun is.
Where the sun is and the rain and where you are.
There has to be sun, and the
And
sun
the
has
elves.
to be behind you.
Yeah.
Because they're light coming from behind your head, they're going through a raindrop, they're bouncing off the back of a raindrop and coming back to your eye. And it can only happen at an angle of 42 degrees, which is why it's in a bow.
Can you tell me at what point in time human beings were actually able to sing a rainbow?
Is there a song about
I
singing
can sing
a
a rainbow, sing a rainbow.
There's loads of different ones, wasn't there? Grey and grey and grey and grey, grey and grey and grey. I can sing a woodlouse. You know.
Very good, very good, very good. In Estonia, they believe that if you point at a rainbow, your finger will fall off.
Oh, for God's sake.
I know.
Estonians aren't stupid people, are they?
They aren't, you say?
They're very stumpy, though.
Yeah.
Indigo, incidentally. What do you know about indigo?
Blue, isn't it?
Purple, it's purple.
It's a funny colour. Do you remember...
It's the colour of...
Silence.
No.
Can you sing that song instead?
No, I can't.
The colour of audacity. See, I'm doing it now. I'm talking like that. It's the colour of audacity.
Stop it. Well, it's a sort of darky blue, isn't it?
No, isn't it a fertility thing?
Well, it's an Indian plant that was used for dyeing.
In what sense would it be a fertility thing?
It's a colour, doesn't it? Doesn't it come up on women's legs in circles when they're ready?
That may be impetigo.
Fans.
Are we thinking of impetigo?
Thinking of garters, what you're thinking.
Impetigo? Well, indigo is indigo. It's a dark blue dye used for such things as jeans and police uniforms. Which brings me, why take the piss out of Newcastle?
They haven't got any toilets. They've got no toilets, and they hold it in. They're so hard, they can hold it in till they go on holiday. And that's why they talk out the side of their roof like that. Going to visit Auntie. I can't wait.
Interesting theory.
Is that wrong?
Is it that the urine is exceptionally pure because of the filtering process of brown ale?
It used to be very pure.
Right.
But now no longer probably is. Newcastle was a major exporter of piss. In the 18th century. What does urine contain?
Ammonia.
Uric acid.
Ammonia, good.
Some sort of infection thing. If a jellyfish stings you, you've got to pee on your leg.
No, I'll give you a further hint, which was that I introduced the question by saying...
Anaesthetic.
Indigo was used
dyeing.
for such things as policemen's uniforms, yes.
A dyeing agent.
So ammonia was used in the dyeing industry. And in North
Dye.
Yorkshire, they had these great quarries where they mixed the ammonia and stones and things with woad and came out with these dyes. Newcastle's third biggest export after coal and beer was wee-wee.
Do you think you could weed... Does anyone ever weed into their own mouth?
You can be certain people have done... Actually, babies do that. It's very funny. They're sort of, you know, they're lying wriggling, having been changed.
We used to go
they
highest
pee
up
into
the
their
wall.
mouths.
We used to have a toilet at school, and there was a urinal up to bit there, then wall, and then a window.
Yes.
It was quite high. And my friend Danny, the squirt, bending right quite far back like that, could wee out of the window.
Wow. Well, the fact of the matter was, in Newcastle, people had to pee into buckets, which were collected weekly. No, the reason that policemen's uniforms used to be such a rich and impressive hue was that they had been whittled on by Geordies, ultimately. Now, have you all enjoyed your sweeties?
Yeah.
Good.
Yes.
Which colour did you like best?
Red, I think.
Red. Now, that's interesting. Most children, when asked which colour they like most, will say red. When a food manufacturer wants to colour food red, he uses one of these, in fact. It's food additive. It's this e01 colourant. My question is, what is e120 made from?
Oh, yeah. A beetle of some sort.
No, I'm afraid not. No, we rather predicted you would say that. It's rather unfair of us, because you're almost right. It's actually a bug, not a beetle.
Oh, right. Well...
What's the difference in a bug and a beetle, then?
Oh, don't
You
ask
should
him
remember,
that.
of all people, because we covered it...
Bugs suck things.
We covered it last year. Well done, you did remember. 5 points for remembering.
What do beetles do?
They don't suck, they can't.
Well, they're an order of insects.
You give them a drink with a straw and they look at you like, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Not a bug, all right?
The point is, Joe, bug is not just American slang for any insect. It's a specific scientific word. It has piercing mouth parts.
Oh,
in case
how
you-
lovely.
Mandibles.
Yes, mandibles.
Right.
You answered that like it was your nickname. Mandibles, you went, yes. How can I help you?
But,
This is his nickname at school.
Mandibles Fry.
but the point about this stuff, which is also called
Cochineal.
cochineal, yes, you can get some points back for that, of course,
Yeah.
is that it is made from crushed insects. They're called Dactylopius coccus, and they're a kind of bug, as I say, and it takes about 70,000 of them to make 1 pound of cochineal. We've moved away from cochineal because those people who don't like eating animals felt they were being conned by things that were supposedly vegetarian, like a tube of Smarties, when it turned out they had dead animals in them. And, of course, they're not kosher. E122, which we now use, except in Smarties. In Smarties, you're still eating the crushed...
I'm eating crushed
bugs. Yeah, with the red ones. But E122 is very bad if you have an allergy to aspirin, for example. It makes some people go very blotchy, it makes some people hyperactive. And so it's an interesting issue.
Can I stop you there?
Yep.
Changed my mind. I think I prefer green.
Oh, well, there you are. Never mind. Tough.
Where did the whole notion of crushing beetles to get their colouring from, I mean, arise? When did people think, these foods are just not the right colour, I need a bit more pizzazz in my
Well,
mulch.
I think you only need sort of imagine, don't you? I mean, you know, you're pounding maize in Mexico, which is where this thing sort of started, and,
Right.
and a few of these beetles that live, they're all over the place.
Right.
Accidentally, and while
fall
you're
in.
pounding it, it goes a rather beautiful pink colour.
Wait a minute.
And your husband says, I like this new maize cake, this pink polenta.
They didn't start like crushing animals and slowly work their way down to beetles. They're like crushing a squirrel. No, that's no good, that colour. Next animal.
That's what I meant. Oh, look.
You set your buzzer off.
That's what I imagined.
Also, they didn't say, I love this pink polenta. They said, the pink polenta, I love it.
So you think that...
I want some more pink polenta.
So you think this happened after the Spanish colonisation of Mexico?
Alan!
You think...
We got you, that was a good one. Hats off.
Are you telling me the Incas talk like Oxbridge graduates?
How do they talk to really...
I'm just going up to finish off Machu Picchu. Will you help me with these stones?
It was really the Aztecs we were concerned with. But in either case, never mind.
You ever felt like your weapon's not big enough, John?
No, nonsense.
No.
So, no, let's move from bugs to beetles.
Love the pink polenta.
Sure. Beetle fanciers, as you probably know, are called...
Coleopterists.
Very good, coleopterists. I'll give you 5 points. for
Well, thank you very
heaven's
much.
Press him on how the hell he knows that.
Yeah.
Well,
right.
because when I was a child, I
In
would...
Alan's world,
What?
knowing something is a kind of freakish, weird... explain. So, could you explain how come you know something? Alan would love to know the mystery of this.
Well, welcome to my world of knowing. The wonderful world of looking up things in books.
You looked it up in a book?
No, because when I was a kid, I collected butterflies.
What were you called then?
What was that? A lepidopterist.
Lepidopterist.
I was a lepidopterist, not a leopard collector, as you may have thought.
You sort of run out and kind of kill them yourself.
No, you catch them in a net, and then you put them in a bottle with chloroform, and they gradually... Oh, no, it's not. It's cruel.
That's not very nice. So were you a lepidopterist as well?
I did do a bit of bug hunting, yes.
Did
as,
you?
as the
I
American...
can see you running along with a big net like that. Tarquin, I've got one.
A flowing toga and a big net.
Oh. But you're quite right. Yeah, a coleopterist.
I am an Aztec. I was a philatelist.
Were you?
Yeah.
Is there a special word for someone who did metal work?
Yes, Smith.
I did a bit of that when I was a young man, yeah.
Or a metallurgist.
Yeah.
Yeah, loser, we call him.
No, coleopterists who love beetles. Coleopterists are extremely busy people, far too busy to sit and watch television panellists dithering about. So we have to push on a bit if we want to keep them on board, because they're very, very busy. How long is it since anyone discovered a new type of beetle?
8 seconds.
8 seconds is quite recent, but it's not far off. Yeah.
700 years.
No?
Look, no one is forcing you to play this game. You want to go and sit in the corner.
You killer. You're a killer, you are.
I released them into the wild after they were killed.
Yes.
Actually, that's it. It's in supreme irony that moths got into the collection and ate them all.
The answer is, well, it could be 5 minutes. It's about an hour. Since 1700, they reckoned that
Childishly competitive.
new species was discovered on average at the rate of about 1 new species every 6 hours, but it's accelerated. There may be as many as 10 million different species of beetle, and only 2,000 coleopterists in the world, supposedly.
So many beetles, just not enough time.
The amazing thing about beetles, 2/3 of all insects are beetles. But even more, if you put all examples of plants and animal species in a row, every 5th one would be a beetle. Every 10th one would be a weevil, as it happens. So we come to the next question. Which is the odd one out of these three? A Ptiliidae beetle, a camel, or the Sultan of Brunei? Yes.
As is a Ptiliidae beetle.
It is. Correct. You'll get the points. Can you elaborate?
Well, I don't want to show off.
The camel stores water in its hub.
No.
Well, I know the Sultan of Brunei.
Sultan of Brunei.
What do we know about the Sultan?
You don't know.
He,
so.
he can afford to pay pop stars to dance around in their knickers.
Indeed
He's
he
that
can.
rich.
He's that rich.
He's that
Yeah.
rich.
Now, what do rich people have in common with camels?
The ability to sustain water in their humps.
The inability... Yes?
They're f***ing miserable all the time.
What can they not do?
Pass through the eye of a
Go
needle.
to heaven.
Pass through the eye of a needle. It's easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle
Same
than a
thing.
rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven.
Yes, it is.
So the point is, this little beetle is so small it can literally go through the eye of a needle, unlike a camel or a rich person. And they come in very, very varying sizes, beetles. The biggest one, Titanus giganta, is huge. We have a sample of the second biggest one. This is the Hercules beetle. This is from the Natural History Museum in London. How many examples of beetle do you think they have there? How many different?
820,000.
No, it's a lot more. It's 12 million. Oh, they have 12 million. Finally, we plunge into the land that knowledge forgot. Davisland, the place we call general ignorance. So, fingers on buzzers, please, for one last chance to avoid looking like complete Charlies. Firstly, and returning to our colour theme, what rhymes with orange?
Nothing.
Oh, dear. Oh, Lordy bless.
Flange.
Flange. Orange. Orange. Can you think of any words that might rhyme with it?
Orange.
Orange would rhyme with it, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think there is such a thing as borange. There's borage.
No, borange.
Lozenge.
That's what you suck up.
Sir, Locke's making it up, sir.
They're terribly close, because there's Blorange.
Blorange?
It's a place. Anyone
that
know where
doesn't
Blorange is?
Well, it sounds like it's in Belgium.
No, closer to home. Blorange.
Where?
Yes, it is. It is. It overlooks Abergavenny. It has a famous car park. Well, it has a horse is buried there, a famous horse called Fox Hunter. There's also Gorringe.
If you say porridge with a cold.
Yeah.
Yes.
I've got a cold.
Have some porridge, please. Lester Piggott, he goes, oh, what for breakfast, Lester? Porridge. Here's some porridge.
I'm sure that Richard Whiteley on Countdown said that nothing rhymes with orange.
He may well have done, but we're here to explode the myths
Richard
of the Whiteleys.
Whiteley.
I saw him interviewing 2 bluebell dancers once.
Really?
I thought he was going to have a coronary.
Could I have 2 from the top?
I've... Very good. Here we are, Gorringe. It's a surname. It's probably the same root as Goering. My prep school tailors were called Gorringe, funnily enough.
Really?
We get our uniforms made, yeah.
You had a tailor? You had a tailor? For, like, a suit you wear when you're 5?
There was...
Were you born in the 1850s?
You had...
I shall measure up, young sir. With shorts and cap.
particular outfitter. It was the school outfitter.
All right.
Which was a tailoring shop, an school outfit called Gorringe.
Which side does young sir dress on? There's nothing really to worry about.
You should know that. It's written on the toilet wall.
Please. Oh, heavens, why did I mention that? That's
You want to get measured up for sure?
Lord.
Would Sir like to wear a cravat on the cross-country run?
Oh, you're all such beasts. Well, anyway, Gorringe is a splendid English surname.
I suggest a common band for geography.
I say! You rather like this pink polenta.
Utter rotters. Gorringe is the splendid English surname of, amongst others, Henry Honeychurch Gorringe, who brought Cleopatra's Needle to New York Central Park, in case you didn't know. Anyway, what colour, fingers on buzzers, what colour is the planet Mars? Yes, Joe.
It's red.
Oh, no! I knew that was going to happen.
It may be called the red planet, but it isn't red. I'm afraid it's actually
Rusty
brown.
brown.
It's browny brown, really. No, it only appears red sometimes because of the dust in the atmosphere. In fact, its landscape is a very boring brown colour.
Why are you going there? What's the f***ing point?
You are just unbelievable. I see. Yes, I see. Right. I refuse to rise to debate. All right. According to New Scientist, actually, the most recent pictures of Mars issued by NASA were tweaked by sort of,
Photoshop.
by using filters and Photoshop. Exactly.
Britney Spears on it.
In order to conform... They were tweaked in order to conform with our expectations of its redness. Next, apropos of absolutely nothing at all, a topical one. What prevented Henry VIII from marrying Lord Pembroke? Joe.
Lady Pembroke.
Very good. Yeah. Yes.
Because gay marriages were illegal.
No, the fact is he actually did marry Lord Pembroke, eventually.
He married Lord Pembroke.
Yes, he did.
Was Lord Pembroke a nickname for...
A lady!
Lord Pembroke was certainly a lady, but absolutely, it was Anne Boleyn, in fact.
Oh, right.
She was married to Catherine of Aragon at the time, and it was not head of the church.
She disguised herself as a man to sneak into the king's chamber.
No, she was just very miffed at not being able to marry.
You sound like you're in a school play, then. Runs on. She disguised herself as a man. You're supposed to be an actor.
Have you never seen Jonathan Creek? No. It's nonsense. No.
She disguised herself as a man. Speeches in the king's chamber. I must leave for France.
Yes, what happened was he was married to Catherine of Aragon. The Pope was head of the church in England and elsewhere in Europe. And Anne Boleyn was very annoyed. So to shut her up, he offered her a title, and he offered an ordinary title. He said, no, I want a proper title. So he gave her the Marquisate of Pembroke. So she became the Marquis of Pembroke, which is a male title, of course. Yeah. But then eventually he did overcome it and declare that his marriage to Catherine of Aragon was null and void, and separated from Rome and married Anne Boleyn, and then cut her head off, of course. Anyway, from marquises to mammals. I'm one, you're one, Lord Pembroke. She was one as well. We're all mammals. We come in a wide variety of colours. White rhinos, black panthers, brown bears...
Whales.
Red kangaroos, blue whales, pink elephants, haha. But no, there are... Name a green mammal. Yes. Frog.
Frog.
Now name a green mammal!
Ancient Greek cow.
Quite a good answer. Yes, Joe.
A budgie.
Now name a green mammal.
I'm getting round to it.
OK, a rotten badger.
Excellent.
We've all seen them.
Yes, good one.
Green
No,
mammal.
there are none.
Chameleon. Is that a mammal?
Chameleon's a lizard.
Reptile.
A really, really jealous shrew.
No, there are none. They're very common to birds, reptiles, fish, but there are no green mammals. There is a sloth that looks green, but it's actually the algae that grow in its fur. But that's the only
Well,
one
because
that
it's
might
so slow-moving that moss grows over it.
so much a sloth, exactly. Lastly, we come full circle to the mad, mad world, Alan, of ancient Greece. Why wouldn't an ancient Greek baker mind if you told him where he could stick his baguette? Sure.
Because they were a bit like that. You know what I mean? I think you all know. I'm not going to say it. Because you can't these days. Oh, very hot water.
But just about... I always thought it was Bertrand Russell talking then for a minute. As a pleasuring device?
A bread dildo.
A dildo. A bread dildo is the right answer. They made their dildos out of bread in Greece.
Oh. You know that most women would have gone for the eating option.
Someone write that down? Is that written down in ancient Greek?
It's only discovered in 1987, actually. It's a very recent discovery.
Who discovered it?
It was a Greek baker frozen in a glacier with a...
No, he's going like that. It's very easy. He's going...
He was handing the baton of ancient Greece to modern Greece. That's what he was doing. It's time for the final reckoning. I shall give scores. Now, just in last fourth place, just with -22, is Alan Davis. But a brilliant performance, and we thank you for it. In third place with -20 is Joe Brand. In second place with a huge +7 is Bill. Oh. But way out in front with 17 is Sean Loughlin. Oh, well. Well, my thanks go to Bill, Sean, Joe and Alan. I'm going to leave you with two quite interesting remarks on the subject of colour. The first is from Frank Borman, the Apollo 8 astronaut. My experience helped me to see how isolated and fragile the Earth really is. It was also beautiful. It was the only object in the entire universe that was neither black nor white. And the second is from former US President Gerald Ford. Ronald Reagan doesn't dye his hair. He's just prematurely orange.